Hey everyone, so today is Mother's Day, and this is when this video is going up. I'm actually recording it the day before Mother's Day, but I wanted to really speak into this and not skip over this day because it can be very heavy for a lot of us, and heavy in a joyful sense and heavy in a grieving sense. So I want to put this video out there to kind of speak into both of those experiences, because for me, I have kind of experienced both. My husband and I struggled with infertility for 6 years, and so every Mother's Day that came up was just this reminder again of this longing that I have to be a mom, and it not happening, me not being able to take on that role as mother and have children to love and care for. And so Mother's Day would be kind of a heavy grieving day for me. And though there's other joyful parts of it, of celebrating the mom that God has given me and the ways that he's used her in my life, and you know, the good and the bad. You know, we don't have perfect parents. And so just kind of reflecting on that, celebrating the things that, you know, I see, ways I see God in her. And so, yeah, there's also that part of it. But then there's that reminder of myself not being able to be a mom. And this Mother's Day is the first Mother's Day that I am a mom. And for those who may be new to my channel, I'm a mom of triplet boys. So it's kind of a big jump into motherhood. So to have 3 at once. But it's just amazing that now I'm at this place where I can finally say I'm a mom. And I've never really thought that it would happen. I guess when you go through so many years of infertility, so many months of trying and nothing happening, it gets hopeless and like, is anything gonna work? And you know, we ended up going down the IVF route, which is kind of like the last resort in a way in my head at the time. And I was like, if that doesn't work, then that's it, you know, I'll never be a mom. And we are so thankful and grateful that, you know, our second transfer worked and we ended up with triplet boys and they're healthy and growing. And we are so thankful for that and so overjoyed with that. And just the fact that they have made me a mom just fills my heart with so much joy and gratitude. And so I also want to take today for myself just to sit in that and celebrate that and receive that. And it's also a reminder of that grief that I had experienced. But I know that so many of you out there still haven't gotten to that place, still are trying, still are having that not pregnant, that negative pregnancy test every month, failed treatments, failed transfers, failed adoptions that have fallen through and haven't been able to work out. Just so much grief and miscarriages and losing children before, you know, a stillbirth or at a young age, or even as an adult, your child dying as an adult, just that order of things not being quite right, you know, like I'm not supposed to outlive my child. And all of that just brings so much grief and pain to this role as a mother. And so actually today, my husband and I, we stumbled upon this YouTube video of a songwriter called J.J. Heller. We really enjoy her music. She has some beautiful worship music. She also writes a lot of songs about parenthood and children. And honestly, I couldn't really listen to them very much before, you know, being a mom, but now being a mom, it's like I've listened to them. I'm like, oh my gosh, like they just bring tears and I just weep listening to them. So I'm gonna link 2 videos down below, and I'm going to talk about one right now. This is the one we stumbled upon today, and it was called Always. We had no idea what it was about. We just clicked on it, and it's about miscarriage, and we were both just weeping. Even though me personally, I have not experienced miscarriage, I just never actually got pregnant, but I have several friends who have, and also I think that part of losing that dream of becoming pregnant, even if you haven't been pregnant, also just fit in with this song. And even she says in the video that that's not her story. Miscarriage is not her story. And she said people were asking her to write a song about miscarriage, because she wrote all these songs about parenthood and motherhood and children. And she felt like it wasn't her place. She didn't want to dishonor those women that had been through that, since she hadn't been through that herself. But in the video, she talks about that, as songwriters, they put words to the human experience. And that is a human experience. And I'm sure that she probably knows people who have been through that, because it is so common. It's 1 in 4 women experience a miscarriage. And so just listening to this song, I won't spoil it. I don't want to tell you all the words and everything. I want you to experience it for yourself. And I will say, before you listen to it, make sure you're in a place where it's okay for you to cry and grieve. And, it may be, I guess some people use the word triggering. And I think sometimes we try to avoid those things. We're like, oh, I don't want to cry. I don't want to. And there are some times when it's like not an opportune time to just sit and grieve and weep. But I would really strongly suggest any of you who, even if you haven't experienced miscarriage, just, even just infertility or even other types of losses, I think you could definitely grieve with it, if that makes sense. And so I would just encourage those of you who have experienced a miscarriage specifically, just to listen. And especially if you're at a place where you feel like you can do that, and just weep. And it was just so beautiful. And it talks about that you're always a mom. So even if you lost your child, you're always a mom. And just to remember that today on Mother's Day, that you're always a mom. And also, so that's the first video that I'm linking down below. So the next video, I wanted to also talk about just the joyous part of being a mom. So I could have just focused on the grieving, the loss, the sadness that we've experienced, on Mother's Day. And I also want to acknowledge that, this day also brings sadness and grieving on the other side of, if you don't have a good relationship with your mom, if your mom is no longer here, has passed, has died, then this is a grieving time for you. And then also during this time specifically, as we're in the middle of this pandemic of quarantining ourselves, of social distancing ourselves, where maybe you had planned to go spend time with your mom, fly somewhere if your mom lives, far away from you, or drive somewhere, and you're not able to do that. You're not able to be with her physically, and just the grief and emotions that can come up with that as well. So I want to acknowledge all of that. And then I also want to shift now and just acknowledge the joyous part. And, that is kind of where I'm trying to let myself feel that and experience that, like I said. And so there's also a video I'm linked down below from JJ Heller that's I Get to Hold Your Hand. And it's just talking about this little baby that's coming into the world, and just all that to experience with that child, and saying, I get to be the one to hold your hand. And so I weep listening to that song, just knowing, just of joy and gratitude, just knowing that God has given me this gift of these little boys that I get to hold their hand. And it's just, yeah, I just love listening to it and just receiving that gift. So any of you out there, who have children, who maybe sometimes it's hard to remember the gratitude. And I know that for those of us who struggle with infertility, sometimes it's hard to even voice that there could be moments that are difficult, because we've longed for this for so long. How can we talk about the challenges of parenthood when we wanted this for so long, and maybe even been even frustrated with parents who do complain about their kids. We're like, I just want kids, like, come on. But that there are difficult times, and in the middle of the night when you're being woken up and when the baby's crying and there's nothing really soothing them at that moment. And when the other day I was trying to take a nap, just because I was tired, and it's like one baby after another, like one finally settles down and then another one starts crying, which we have 3, so that's a specific situation, but it was just hard, to kind of be like, oh man, I guess naps are not as easily taken as I would like. And, it's just things like that, there are challenges, but to also just sit there and rejoice and just soak up those moments of just holding them and cuddling them and seeing them look at you like where they're really looking at you for the first time. It just brings tears to my eyes when I see that in my boys, or when they give you a smile. Oh my goodness, like my heart just fills with joy, and it's just amazing. And so to also receive and enjoy those little moments. So I guess that's kind of what I wanted to share. I'm sorry if it was jumbled, but I wanted to get this up and to not skip over Mother's Day, because it could be hard, but to acknowledge that it is hard for sure. And I know for some of you it's very hard, and you might even need to just isolate yourself even more than in the social isolation time. And that's okay. However you need to grieve this day, grieve this loss of longing to be a mother, of losing your child through miscarriage or in any way, and just allowing yourself to grieve that. So yeah, that's the video for today. And I do want to say to all of you out there that you are seen, and your experience is valid, and your pain is valid, and it's important to feel it and grieve it and bring others into it. And for those of you who are supporting someone that's going through a difficult time, so maybe you have a friend that Mother's Day is really hard for them, maybe just send them a text, say, hey, I know today's hard, but I'm here for you. If you need to talk, I'm here for you. And not to have answers or try to come up with like solutions or fixing it or whatever, but just to be like, I'm here just to sit with you in this. And if they're open to that, great. If they're like, no, I just need to be alone, that's great too. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. And thank you for subscribing. Please do that if you haven't, and look forward to your comments. I would love to just see where you're at in this and your stories, because they're valid and they're important to share. And so I would love to just see that in the comments, so more people can realize they're not alone in this. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.